All right, this is it. This is Amari Music Talk, back in action with my guest Ricky Wyatt, bass player, musician extraordinaire. And today we are going to talk about Cameosis, the quintessential Cameo album.
Yeah, definitely that.
If you feel it, you got to get into
it. Definitely that.
Yeah, so, of course.
Okay,
I was gonna say I'm Richard Cole, and of course, you know, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a long time listener, welcome back. And always don't forget to hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also, become a Patreon supporter as well. Help keep the show going. And with that out of the way, let's dive right in.
Okay.
So I don't know. We were talking earlier before the show about just how we got introduced to this album. It came out in the summer of 1980. For me, let's see, I was coming out of 8th grade, going into freshman year of high school.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of at that age, I was taking my, yard cutting money, my little allowance. didn't have to beg grandma, buy me that Jackson 5 album,
Yeah.
So, would go to Hudson's Embassy, to the local record store. And at the time I was buying, of course, Parliament, Funkadelic, Rick James, Off the Wall was big at that time.
Very.
And
Chic.
Yep.
Chic was big.
So, with Cameo, kind of like that year before, Sparkle was a big hit. And everybody was raving about that. And I mean, I've heard it on the radio, but I didn't go buy the album or anything.
Okay.
But a lot of people were talking about Cameosis. Now, that's the album you got to get.
Yeah.
And of course, it's got the hit Shake Your Pants on it. One of their funkiest grooves. And, I sat down, I knew some people that had it. It took me a while to get the album, but I've heard people play it for me, and man, I was blown away. It is, to me, one of their strongest albums. I mean, they've done some great stuff after that.
Yeah.
But, this is one that everybody talks about. But I think, later on, we'll kind of get into, what it is about that album that's so, entrenched in everybody's memories.
Yeah.
But, Ricky, you were talking before the show about your memories of it. You want to give us a recap?
Yeah, man. I mean, we're like maybe 4 or 5 years apart. So, kind of growing up, I'm like the eldest of like my parents' children. So, most of my musical exposure was what my dad brought in the house. Most of my friends, maybe, like my tight knit group of friends at that time, all but maybe one of us was like the oldest, maybe two. But I know the oldest siblings for one of my friends, they were like in college, moved out type. So I really didn't know, much about the group going into this. I probably had heard Sparkle at cookouts, what I'm saying, like house party, the ride home, Quiet Storm type deal.
Right.
Is very catchy. Like, and you can remember that. Yeah. And so going into this, I didn't know who they were. And like, of course, man, that age, I wasn't staying up at night, watch me in the midnight special with them. My parents, like wasn't doing it. So unless they were on Soul Train.
Okay, yeah.
And even then, like, man, I said earlier, I'm like, 3rd going to 4th grade. I'm into like Star Wars, because Empire Strikes Back came out that summer. you know, I wanted to do action figures. I was into comics, you know, that was like kind of, you know, man, the heyday of Marvel, you know, like early 80s.
Yeah.
Say, you know, action figures. I mean, man, that was my world. And so like, you know, any music outside of that just served as background stuff for what I was doing. Like, you know, I might catch something, or like, you know, I still remember my school having dances, but I mean, again, you know, you know, Michael Jackson, all the stuff that you name, you know, was kind of being played. But with Cameo, like this was the first, you know, like Cameosis was my first exposure where I could put a name to faces, and like, you know, even the album cover, you know, kind of stood out to me because, you know, like just how it looked. I mean, man, the logo, I vividly remember my cousin and my uncle's ex-wife having a discussion about, I know the guy's outfits on the cover. And they were saying that Tommy Jenkins was the one that was kind of dressed like the most normal, because he had on like a jacket, like a and they said Larry Blackman was like second because he had, I mean, you know, it looks like he just has on like a vest, but they thought everybody else was kind of over the top, you know? Yeah. So, and I remember them having that conversation as I'm either reading comics or playing with action figures or something. And so, you know, my uncle bought it for my cousin that summer. And it was just a soundtrack, man. I mean, you know, I probably couldn't tell you outside of Sparkle what albums came to before that. I know he had some. I know like Rigor Mortis was one. I know, like, I know We Are Who We Are. It's got my favorite instrumental by them, like It's Serious is on that. I know the Sparkle album. I know, I can't remember the album, but it's got like it's like a close-up of like a woman's chest, and it's got like the little medallion.
Oh yeah.
I can't.
I remember the cover. Why can't I remember the name?
Is it Cardiac Arrest?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, like, I remember seeing that, you know, and just the mail and me like, oh, that's a woman's chest, you know, seeing it like, oh wow, you know. I think they had another one. I think even before that one, I can't think of the name of it, but a song on it was called Chocolate Chip. I think it was. I can't think of the name of it, but it was early.
Because I know there was Knights of the Sound Table, and you got Feel Me, which I think those are all precursors to Cameosis.
Yeah. But you know, man, even I think once I got into them, and then I didn't kind of like rediscover them again, and from summer 80 until like 84. With the, I mean, you know, even with, you know, the Alligator Woman and all this, I knew people were into it, and you know, all of that, and I knew who they were. I just remember, you know, of course, the videos, because videos well, like BET was a becoming, you know, I mean, a thing, and so I just remember seeing, what was it? Was it Flirt? I think Flirt was a video. I definitely remember seeing the Talking Out the Side of Your Neck video, and that's what kind of got my attention again. I know with them, and then of course, you know, She's Strange, remember that, and then after that, of course, like Single Life, you know, Attack Me With Your Love, and so on. And so, and you know, like when I got back or got into music at that point, and they were on my radar, and I could identify. I did. I was like, wait a minute, they lost some members, or what's going on?
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, they was again, you know, again, man. Like, I mean, that cover was ingrained in just my mind. You know what I'm saying? From like summer 1980.
Yeah, because I mean, you had, you know, of course, you know, the core members. You had Tommy Jenkins. At this point, Charlie Singleton wasn't part of it. Wasn't part of it.
Yeah. It was early on, man. I know, man, shout out to man, a couple of Cameo heads I know, man, one in particular. a friend of mine, my name is Scott Chambers. He's really super into this. I tried to get him on here, but
yeah, you telling me. Yeah, tell him, man. He's
yeah.
welcome to come on the show anytime.
But he was he said was schooling me on Anthony Lockett. He was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, so, you know, I think once I got to that point where, you know, I had this was early on in my adult life. I was like, I need to go buy that disc. You know what I'm saying? You know, I need to go buy that. And so, I mean, and it's, you know, still my favorite Cameo thing. But, you know, like once I was kind of getting, you know, like getting into them and kind of going back and dabbling in some of the pre-Cameosis stuff, he was kind of schooling me with Anthony Lockett. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Lance L.A. Alexander from the group Low Key. He's a big Cameo fan.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I say, you know, he put me on to the I think it's Knights of the Sound Table.
Okay.
Cameos. Because again, I mean, say, you know, I mean, like, you know, like anything, man, like sometimes you kind of have to have somebody to kind of point to you certain things. And so, you know, for the longest time, I was only stuck on this. And like She's Strange and Single Life, you know, like I didn't, you know, like deviate from those three. And even with Single Life, it was just that song and the Attack Me With Your Love. It wasn't much.
Wasn't the whole album like before.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so, you know, I think I kind of got into this, I know the She's Strange, and I dug it, but not like I dug this. You know, like this, man, like we were talking earlier, like, you know, from the onset of Cameosis with that horn line. Yeah, like that joint is just like it does not let up from that point on. It's just it's like going from first to fourth like that, Jack.
I had a relative that you know, he plays trumpet, and you know, he's been in like different, you know, all his life, you know, just like different like orchestras and jazz ensembles.
Okay.
And he was telling me he was taking I guess with one of those like a student orchestral thing or something. They were taking a bus trip to do a performance, and he was playing Cameosis.
Okay.
And like, you know, a lot of the cats that he was riding with, you know, they were just like kind of just straight jazz or straight classical music. You know, they weren't hip to funk and R&B like that.
Yeah.
But he was playing Cameosis, and when it got to that horn line, he said every jaw on that bus dropped.
Hey man, yeah. I mean, yeah, like I mean, you know, I mean at that time, because horn bands were so prevalent,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like Earth, Wind, and Fire had, I mean, I think it was because Earth, Wind, and Fire, and then they were so big, like, you know, they had to premiere like Phoenix Horns,
right?
Who I think many may have you know, thought was like the best horn section, you know.
Oh yeah, that was the one to beat.
Yeah. Okay, like man, the standard, and then you had you know, like P-Funk.
Oh yeah.
And so, and he had like, you know, like he had like Kool and the Gang and then some other
Kool and the Gang, Commodores.
Yeah, and so I you know, like in all those groups I know we named, they were like my dad's groups, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then like Cameo was like, you know, like my cousin in your era group, so you know, like much younger appeal. And I just remember, yeah, like hearing that, like, wow, like, you know, again, and even now, like, you know, if it's hard not to feel a certain way hearing that song, you know what I'm saying? Like Kick Off, you know what I'm saying? And you could hear all the little man ingredients that they would use later, you know, like with the bridge.
Right.
You know, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, you know, all that stuff, man. And say, you know, I mean, again, I wasn't then into reading credits and all that type stuff. I was just like, oh, and it was surprisingly, I do remember seeing the Shake Your Pants video for some reason.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. I mean, and then, like following up that song, like Shake Your Pants is next. And it's like,
yeah. I mean, talk about one of the greatest 1-2 punches on any album. Never mind a funk album, but any album.
Yeah, like whoever did the sequencing. Like if there's Larry Blackman or whomever, man, that was probably, I mean, I would argue that Cameosis, in terms of an album opener, is probably the best album opener of an album. Like, like it doesn't get you much better than that. Like I can't even, like I'm trying to think, that joint is just like, I can't imagine that being at the end or like in the middle. That joint,
no, it's got it right.
Is the perfect lead off to an album. Like,
yeah, I don't know if they recorded that first or if that was the last thing they recorded, but you're right. Yeah, to put it as the first track.
Yeah. Now, so you said that you were in high school, going into high school, I know, with this. So like this had to be riding the wave. I know, because Shake Your Pants was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's a testament to just how great, music was as early as 1980. Because again, it was so much competition out there. Actually, let's see, Glory All Stupid was like 79 going into 80, if I remember.
Okay.
Same thing with Uncle Jam, but like through the summer of 80, that was still in heavy rotation.
Yeah.
Like I said, Off the Wall was still strong.
Because I think this album, didn't it come out like spring, kind of, sort of springish, spring of 1980, maybe. I think I saw something about that. It was maybe like a spring.
I want to say April.
Yeah. Okay.
April of 1980, I think.
Okay. So yeah, well, I mean, I think back then, man, stuff had like I think longer longevity in terms of being played. But like when you got to high school, like, do you remember people kind of still raving about it, or was like, I mean, Shake Your Pants played at dances or something?
Yeah, the high school dances for sure. Yeah. But as far as like, just hearing through the hallway or whatever, it was actually people closer to me.
Okay.
Kind of like, on the block, or if I, spent the weekend at my mom's or something, it was a kid next door, and, we bonded over music.
Okay.
And stuff. So, he was raving about it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Stuff. So, right. So I think it was more, kind of more, like I said, inner circle than what was going on. But of course, like you say, once you got to the high school dances, that was a different story. It was definitely one of the top tracks played.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know this, man, it makes some people mad. I think the weakest song to the album is probably Please You.
Yeah.
That one, and I don't know if weak is such a good word, but I think the other 6 are just that strong.
Okay.
Because it's sandwiched in between Shake Your Pants and then We're Going Out
Tonight. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I know, man, We're Going Out Tonight. That probably, outside of Cameosis, was like my second favorite tune.
Okay. Yeah.
Saying, it just has that swing. So it's just a feel good tune.
Right.
And I didn't know back then that they had a video for it. I did like maybe 2 years ago when I saw it on YouTube. It's like,
okay.
Like, okay.
I'm gonna have to go on the Cameo channel and
that's something, man. But like We're Going Out Tonight. I mean, I thought everything about that tune, like vocals, horns, everything just kind of clicked and they were in sync. And I think, I know, to me, I don't want to. Okay,
no, go ahead.
It's mad, but I think to me, this is like one of those moments, and like, you know, like when you just, you know, tight with a unit and everything is so cohesive, it's just, and you can hear it, like, yeah, like this joint, like, you know what I'm saying? Like they was on it.
It was a good day. And
Yeah. And I think the whole album is that, I mean, you know, it comes across like, I think Dave, man, was just, I mean, you know, cooking with fish grease, man. And then again,
oh, yeah.
you know, I know some people might argue like the Sparkle album, or, you know, like the Feel Me album or something. And I'm saying, you know, it was some great songs on those, but I think this one was just, you know, because I don't know if We're Going Out Tonight was a single. Maybe it was. I don't remember. I don't remember, but I just know that it's just a feel good tune, and so I dug it.
Yeah.
So,
and it, you know, and that's you know, the consistency, I think, with a lot of Cameo's albums, they will have that sort of deep cut track.
Okay.
To where, like you say, the vibe is just so, it's so positive. In fact, you know, after this, lyrically, like with, you know, they'll do something similar to like a We're Going Out Tonight, but then like the lyrics got a little bit more, I don't want to say.
Yeah, because you're talking like that song that comes to mind, like Is This the Way, where it's kind of like a jazzy, but it's got like political lyrics. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then let's see if I can pull it up here. But it's a song on the Alligator Woman album.
Oh, okay.
I want to call it Live Your Life or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I forget what it,
okay. I think,
but yeah, right. But it just is, you know, it's got that kind of jazzy feel to it, but it's still funky, you know, because the bass is still prominent, and it's still got that Cameo sound. But then lyrically, you know, it's just, like I said, just kind of like upbeat, you know, kind of, you know, almost like, you know, willing, you know, law of attraction kind of lyrics now.
Okay. So let me ask you, man, because I know like I know you said that you were in high school, and this was kind of, well, like going into high school. So you graduated high school what year? I mean,
84.
84.
Right.
So basically you were graduating as Single Life had already, She's Strange.
She's Strange, right.
Coming out. So was there a response from like, you know, your peers, or maybe say yourself, with the change and say the group's lineup? Because it changed over the years, like a lot, because it went from this, and then you have like the Feel Me joint where they had the members, and then it got smaller, you know, like Charlie Singleton came in, and then like Nathan, Anthony Lockett left, you know what I'm saying? And so there was some people, but they kind of went from the horns to, man, the synthesizer thing. So was it like a noticeable thing where people was like, it's not the Cameo sound that I like, or yeah, I love it, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you remember just or like, were you having those discussions back then?
Yeah, it's weird. Like I said, just their place in funk, you know, just kind of where they were.
Okay.
Because again, after this, you get the Alligator Woman album, and you know, the title track is so left field of everything that's come before that,
and it was huge too.
And it was huge, and it worked.
It was huge too, yeah.
And I think the thing that, you know, because I remember listening to that, is like, yeah, now I'm saying, you know, yeah, that was pretty revolutionary what they were doing. But back then, I'm like, what are they doing? Like, what is it?
Like, okay.
Right. But then they turned around and dropped Just Be Yourself. And I'm like, oh, yeah, now that is the track. In fact, that's probably hands down my favorite Cameo jam. You know, nothing against anything that came before it or after it.
Okay.
But I think just kind of where that hit as a single, because it came out as a single kind of, you know, again, you know, the First Time album had already been out. You know, I'm just now, you know, first with Dirty Mind, but then when I got into Dirty Mind, Controversy came out like 2 months later.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So fall
so
81. Okay.
right, you know, and like I said, again, for me, beyond Prince and the time, again, you know, Rick James, Tina Marie.
Oh yeah, it was some heavy traffic around that time.
Right. So, you know, like I said, it was like there's Cameo just hanging in there with them. But then, you know, like I said, they dropped Alligator Woman. And I think that's what set them apart, you know, where they didn't sound like everybody else.
Okay. Yeah,
You know,
because I mean, shoot, that was this is, I know like your high school era, or if you know count from Cameosis to like She's Strange, you got like Street Songs. I know by Rick James
right,
came out. I think Throwing Down had come out.
right.
You know, Prince had like, you know, of course, Controversy, and then the Times album, like 1999.
Right.
Times, you know, like the Mary Jane. I mean, you know, so it was some stuff kind of like, I mean, you know, like envelope pushing, or just it was, you know, some strong material.
It was strong, exactly.
It was some strong material, man. And yeah, because I mean, again, it was just one of those things. Like I just remember the kids at my church. I know the youth group like that I was in. Some of the older ones were like into like camp, you know, Alligator Woman. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, you know, I'm younger, so I mean, you know, I can't say that they were mentors, but because they were older, they were somewhat of an influence.
Okay.
And some of the guys I hung around, like, you know, it was like, yeah, because I mean, again, like, you know, like there is some other stuff, you know, like Atomic Dog, you know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
Latest to Rock, you know, it's all types of stuff that it was being dropped in. But I always wondered, like, what was the I guess the response to, like, you know, like you get this album cover, you know, like 1 minute is like 7, 8 dudes, and the next one
right.
is like 5. You're like,
Five.
wait a minute, and
Then the next one, 4.
yeah, you're like, wait a minute, you're like, what's going on? And I mean, you know, like, did you ever go see them live, or was there shows? You know, like what?
You know, I've never, you know, I never had the opportunity. Or at least,
Okay.
you know, I don't know if you saw the episode where me and PC Munoz was talking about the Cameo Style album. But you know, I had to kind of like pause, like, well, wait a minute, I know I've had to have seen them.
Yeah,
I had to go check because you know it's like, did they come on the Budweiser Superfest this year?
Yeah.
But
that was back then. I know Al Heyman production.
Yeah.
You know,
if it was the one with where Stevie Wonder was the headliner, then
I mean, so you know, that's something I've and I don't know, man. I know because we do the Prince thing, and sometimes I know, man, that you gotta it's just a testament, like, wow, like, you know, dude, you know, early on, not like when he got money, but early on, like from Dirty Mind, he was having shows recorded.
Right.
So, you know, there's shows recorded of like Earth, Wind and Fire, you know what I'm saying, in the 70s and stuff.
Okay.
And so, and I don't know if Larry Blackmon is just sitting on some stuff and just not releasing it, but you know, I think that there is some, you know, like some live shows, you know, I'm sure people would love to see that. You know, like live shows, a Cameo, you know, like kind of like doing, man, this Cameosis period, or some of the you know, shows when they were, you know, like 7, 8 members deep.
Right.
Man, type deal. Or if not, you know, video, at least hear some audio. But again, so, you know, we don't know if they recorded it or if they were, you know, kind of thinking ahead, say, with that. But you know, you know, it's kind of like, man, yeah, 2023, if we don't see, you know, or have that about them. And that's kind of so, you know, I think that's like I think that kind of hinders their legacy some. You know what I mean? Like, you know, not having like anything outside of the studio albums. I mean, especially with, say, the early stuff, because they, you know, like you see videos of Earth, Wind and Fire with Jessica Cleaves, you know,
right?
You know, be like, I mean, you know, yeah, it's not my particular, you know, favorite era of them, but you know, like people can see it and be like, oh,
exactly.
You know, I mean, you know, you make us see what they went from and then what they morphed into type deal.
Right.
And so, I always wondered that, but yeah, man, like we're going out tonight. I just thought that, and it's funny because I remember on the Questlove show when they were talking to Larry Blackman, he was like saying like, yeah, man, so D'Angelo told me that Cameo was mostly known like for their ballads. And
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And look, what's funny is being younger, like someone else said that too, man. A friend of mine, shout out to Scott Chambers, said that. And I was like, for real? Like they were
not in St. Louis. I mean, Sparkle, yeah, but after that, it's Shake Your Pants, Flirt.
That's what I was thinking, like, man, like, all right, I know it's like Sparkle. Of course, I know we'll get to it later, but Why Have I Lost You?
Yeah.
So, and I'm Feel Me,
Yep.
But I just remember thinking like, man, like really, like they were known for just, I mean,
who was the program director?
Yeah, yeah, like I couldn't get, and man, say, it's I mean, again, I like on this album, not when I initially heard it, but years later, I Care For You like grew on me. I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think Tommy is singing lead on that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I always dug that. I think especially the keyboard line, I mean, throughout that song. I thought that was cool, but that's one of their underrated ballads since they were known for ballads. Like they don't get a lot of shine for that one, but yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, outside of D'Angelo, I was gonna say, yeah, I guess recently been paying more attention to, the ballads on here, going, yeah, they were pretty good with it, because like you said, I Care For You. That to me can, it goes toe to toe with Switch.
Oh, okay.
Kind of what they were doing.
Okay. Man, another I know, man, important thing I know for me was and shout out to Lance. I know from Low Key, when Low Key came out, and I was really big into them.
Yeah.
They were the first people or group that I saw when they asked about their influences, they said Cameo, like out. And I remember thinking, like, up until that point, the only people I had ever heard maybe mention them as being an influence on that scale was maybe like Brown Mark or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Saying like,
okay, yeah.
I mean, but and then again, like those guys, I think in Low Key at that time, I know when they came out, I was about to turn 21. So it may have been like 25, 20, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, 90, 91, I think.
Yeah. So like they were, and you could see it and hear it in their music and see it and say their live show. But I've always been a person where if like an artist says their influences, I say would always go back and check out their influences just to kind of see, well, what did they hear, or like what did they in that. And so I thought that was cool of them to like, I was like, wow, yeah, like that's because you really didn't hear that, man, a lot. Like you would hear P-Funk, of course, like Stevie Wonder or James Brown or something. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't hear like, because they were big, I know like Low Key as in they were big on like Cameo and say Confunction. So I was like, let me go do some research, And so that actually brought me back to like Cameosis, like, yeah, it's, you know what I'm saying? I still didn't deviate past that, but but it brought me back to it. But I just remember like when he said that, like that was like, wow, like, yeah, like, man, some national acts that are blowing up are kind of giving them, a nod as they say, man, they were influenced by them. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. And listen, I know they're out of like Kansas City and East St. Louis. So that Midwest region, like I said, when it came to funk, definitely.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, We embraced it, whether it's Cameo or P-Funk, you know,
Zap.
Zap.
Yeah, like that was, you know, and then again, like that's part of the competition, but it was some heavy traffic then, boy.
Yeah, I was saying that's what I'm saying. How now I know I did see Zap and I did see the Gap Band.
Okay.
In fact, they were on the same show.
Okay.
And I had gone mainly really to see the Gap Band.
Okay. Okay.
But I had the, you know, because they only had, I think at that point, the first Zap album, and then the second one was just getting ready to drop. Okay. Then you had Roger's album in between that. But like I said, I was mainly there to see the Gap Band, but Roger and Zap put on such a show.
They won you over, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So like were people like, did you know like anybody that went to go see Cameo or
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what they say about their live show?
Oh yeah. Said it's one of the best.
Oh, okay.
One of the best, yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely put on the show too.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, at this point, and this was, I'm trying, okay, hold on. They were like what 3, 6, 9 deep.
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's whew, that's yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah.
And I know we, you know, just kind of going down the list, man, but as I got older, I said earlier, is Serious was one of my favorite like instrumentals by them.
Okay.
Off the like We Know Who Said We Are album, which by the way was kind of wild because they had the animal heads on the cover and on the back it's got them just regular, you know, like I know it's them, but that always stood out to me too. But you know, I always thought like On the One was kind of dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, and I don't know if they had like instrumentals on every album, but I find it interesting that was part of, or that appeared to be part of funk band, like, you know, formula in terms of sequencing for albums. Like, look, man, so we need an instrumental. You know,
right.
I mean, you know, and I guess that was a way to just show some musical muscle, you know, like to flex a little bit.
Right.
You know, but I did notice that, you know, like whether it was, you know, like totally instrumental or it had a chant, but I think about this, I think about Sun Goddess.
Yeah.
You know, like Get Off Your Ass and Jams, you know, shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like something, you know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, again, I don't know if they had instrumentals on every album, but I always thought that they never got credit for the instrumentals. Like, you know, like you never, I mean, you know, because you could hear Sun Goddess on like the radio. You'd be like, oh, right. When you're fire. You know what I'm saying? But like you never heard, you know, like It's Serious or On the One on like the, as far as I did, I could be wrong. I mean, you know, and I don't know if maybe out that way, they, you know, got some burns with those, but, you know, and say my later years when I would hear the instrumentals, I'd always wonder like, man, you know, like music circles, you know, like just amongst the cats, like they're never known for like, I mean, you know, man, you've done gigs with people, like no one ever says like, hey, look, man, so let's do this Cameo instrument. or maybe that's just a testament as to some people just, you know, as in my friend Scott Chambers been say, like, yeah, man, people won't play the parts right, so let's not do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, testament to the musicianship, because yeah, there are some tracks that, yeah, you know, you may be good, but maybe you shouldn't attempt that one. Which is, you know, I mean, I can't lie, I'm like that. It's like, okay, I can play some things, but you know, you give me something crazy or complicated, it's like, no, I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna stay in my lane.
Yeah, hey, my man say, you know, it's you know, it's kind of like sometimes when you know, like hear people doing Prince covers, you know, you could tell when, you know, the people playing it have, let's say, respect like for the music and they get it right, as man, opposed to somebody saying, okay, so what key we in? All right. And you can't do that with everything, you know, right. You know, and so I think the Cameo stuff, you know, especially their instrumentals. You can't do that. You know? I mean, you
Well,
can't just, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I was gonna say with you know, a testament to Larry Blackmon. I think, you know, he doesn't get enough credit, you know, for being the producer, you know, or even, you know, depending on the track, you know, one of the arrangers of that. I'm trying to think what song on this album. I want to say, is it Cameosis? It might be Cameosis. Correct me if I'm wrong on it though, but it's one of those when I was listening to it last, it's like, wait, because of the horn section, because of the percussion, it's like, am I hearing some Fela Kuti in there?
Ah, okay. I mean, hey man, say, you know, hey man, look, man, not just I mean, kudos to Larry, man, but shoot, man, Gregory Johnson,
Yeah,
you know, Anthony Lockett, you know what I'm saying? You know, man, the Lefton brothers playing the horns,
yeah,
you know, Aaron Mills, you know, like Thomas Campbell, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like they, you know, like, I don't know what they brought, you know, in terms of writing, you know, but I'm sure, you know, like what was actually brought and then fleshed out.
yeah. Well, let's see. I know Tommy. Was he? I know he was coming on strong on some of the later albums, like with the co-writing and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. See, I never. You know what, man? It's funny you say that. I never really paid attention to who wrote, man, a lot of the tunes. I know Larry did.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's see.
I know Anthony Lockett is on here for On the One and like I Care for You. Yeah, like Larry he has his hand on almost on every tune.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And you got Tommy and Nathan co-writing We're Going Out Tonight.
Yeah, yep. You know, and that's the thing too, because I know like you're like a gig and say musician, man, at times. You know, you you know, like outside of like Candy and like Word Up, you don't hear people or like in bands, like local bands covering Cameo like that. Not anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Not anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure during the day, I know like when these albums they were dropping, they were probably doing Feel Me, you know, like some other stuff, you know, like Throwing Down.
Sparkle, yeah.
You know, She's Strange, man, Sparkle saying all of that. But, you know, like very rarely now do, man, you hear people try to attempt, you know, those songs. You know, and then again, like, I mean, so, you know, it could be a thing of like, you know, the personnel is not going to, you know, execute it right. So let's just, you know what I'm saying, not do it. But
well, you know, I know here in St. Louis, you know, kind of watch the whole, you know, the R&B and even the reggae scene just kind of just disintegrate.
Wow, really?
You know, just disintegrate. Of course, I hadn't been to like a club or anything in a long time, but before, like in the 80s, you know, we had like 3 or 4 strong R&B bands.
Oh yeah, man.
One of them, the Vision Band, like half of those members ended up being The Crash.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Happy birthday, Jesse Johnson today.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jesse.
yeah. Crash, yeah, man. I like that album, man.
Oh yeah, that was pretty tight. I love that album.
Yeah.
And I mean, even into the 90s, there was still like 3, you know, good, solid R&B/funk bands.
Okay.
And now, you know, I think I don't know if Dirty Mugs are still together or not, but they're about the only ones holding it down. To me, you know, as far as funk and R&B, they're the last band standing.
So, did you ever go see Grand Jury back in the day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
They morphed into Low Key, so that's
right.
That's why I asked.
But they've been,
And Lance,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like Lance jokes that they were, man, a Cameo tribute band or something. I mean, heavily influenced, man, by Cameo, you know, in terms of like their lineup.
Yeah. In fact, it's probably the last time. Yeah.
Okay. Cool, man. So wow, you know,
Grand Jury Band.
I actually know somebody that's actually seen him, so that's cool.
Okay.
Even outside of just like Facebook people, like I know
Yeah.
that.
Okay. I forgot
Cool.
that's what the yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were the
Yeah, Grant. I mean, you know, I always thought that was, I know, a dope name, and then to have like 9 people. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's about how much a jury would be, maybe 6. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
six
12.
six 12.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And hey man, say to your thing about the R&B bands kind of not being around. I mean, that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, man, especially when say uh, I don't know. I mean, we could point to like music programs not being in schools, cats not want to learn instruments. You know what I'm saying? People, club owners not, really trying to pay people right.
Yeah, and it kind of, especially here, it kind of goes into some other areas
Oh, okay.
too,
Okay. Yeah.
it kind of, which is, like I said, which is unfortunate because, like I said, it was a strong, I would say more so with reggae than R&B and funk, but
Wow.
reggae was bringing everybody in,
Oh, wow.
white, black, everybody.
Okay.
And I think the last venue for good solid, reggae bands, and I mean actual bands, was this place called the Red Sea.
Okay.
And when that closed, then it it disintegrated. I think now you have to go to like Chicago or somewhere to still see good live reggae.
Gotcha, man. Man, so like when I guess you say, man, like disintegrated, is it just gone all say together, like no R&B bands or nothing?
Like I said, the last I saw like this band Dirty Mugs, I think they might have been in an advertisement for something that was going on, like a little festival or something.
Okay.
And that might have been like maybe last year. And maybe probably like pre-pandemic probably, but
okay.
But yeah, I've seen them live, and I mean they got their own audience. They got their own audience because it's this spot I used to go to all the time, and sometimes they would have a DJ, sometimes they would have a cover band or something. But when they got booked, and I remember kind of just going after work, I didn't even know they were coming. And just thinking like, cool, I'm gonna, grab my spot at the bar, just get my couple of drinks, just have a nice evening, wind down.
Yeah.
Go home. I went in there, that place was packed.
Okay. Okay.
That place was packed. And I'm like, what's up? Yeah, we're here to see Dirty Mugs. I'm like, oh, I've heard of them. And yeah, I stayed and they threw down.
Okay. Hey man, say, like people still do like good music, man. Say, just I'm sure like I'm sure this as well as I do. Doing the band thing is not the easiest thing.
Right.
So like you have to navigate, there are some things that you just have to navigate, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it kind of comes with it, but it can be rewarding.
Yeah.
It can be that, man. And so, but I always just, see, sometimes when you're, say, making a set list and you're thinking, okay, like these songs like that, man, it would be cool if we could do, you know what I'm saying, like Cameosis. The horn section. You know what I'm saying? It's like, or
yeah, it wouldn't be the same on the keyboards.
or like, like you're like, it'd be dope if we did Shake Your Pants. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just some stuff, like just as a fan of music, and then as like a musician, you have all these songs running like through your head. You're like, oh yeah, we could do this, but then you're like, yeah, we can't do that one. Okay, let's do, say, something that the unit can execute better on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, because, I've done Single Life on gigs. I've done Word Up on gigs. I've done Candy on gigs. You know what I'm saying? But there's always been a part of me that's like, oh man, it would be so dope if we could do, you know, man, we're going out tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, I think I've done Sparkle on like a gig or two. So, you know, and that just happened to be that, you know, like those rare gigs where I had a trumpet player, and it was like, yo, okay, can you play the, you know, horn line, the Sparkle type deal? But again, man, say, you know, I guess you got to have men of respect, like for the music, to kind of pull it off and do it justice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's that. But I've always wondered that, man, like even, you know, like doing my own gigs or playing with other people, like, man, how come no one ever does? And it's more than just Cameo. I mean, I wondered that about, like, man, like, you know, how come like nobody does, you know, like what is hip? You know what I'm saying? The squib cakes or something. You know what I'm saying? You know,
well, I tell you, there is a band there. I forget what they're called now, but they're mostly horns, and they'll do that.
You mean like Lettuce?
Hmm?
You are talking about Lettuce, or is that like
no, they're
band?
Local. Why am I drawing a blank on the?
Oh, okay.
Drawing a blank on the name, but let's see. Let me see if I can try to figure out who they are. But yeah, they're mostly horns.
Okay.
And they'll do like Average White Band, JB's,
Okay.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, man, say, you know, that's you know, like on, you know, like those type gigs in my, I think on my bucket list gigs, you know what I'm saying? And I'll do at least maybe once, you know what I'm saying? Where like you do some, you know, a gig with, you know, like you do some tunes with, you know, like, I don't want to say a horn band, but you do a tune, you know what I'm saying? You know, a gig with some horns, or like a horn section where you could pull those off. That would be cool. Hey man, we up to probably the best breakup song.
the last track at that.
Yeah. And the best breakup song probably in R&B history, Jack. Is easily top 5. That's what it is. I don't think, hey man, hey, I'm sure it was a lot of, I know that joint got a lot of spans.
I would say this might be a Quiet Storm staple.
Man. And it was a redone version of the, you know what I'm saying? Like they did it before. It's like we about to do this again. Man.
It's like this time.
Man, I know that spoken word part, man.
Okay, that's the one that reminds me of Switch. That's what this track.
Okay. Okay.
This is the one, yeah.
But man, I know Tommy hit him with the, hey, yeah, this hurts. Like, man, that's like, hey.
Actually, you know what? This might be they might have written that as, you know, because like how I Call Your Name starts. You know, it's all this hope and optimism.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, this is, brother getting his heart stopped.
Hey, man, listen. I tell you what, I may not have got it in 1980. But as I got older and had some heartbreak, was like, now I understand what they talk about.
Now I know.
Now I get it. That joint is like, why have I lost you? And then, hey man, this brother does not get his just desserts, man. And that is Wayne Cooper, man. We rave about, man, Philip Bailey's fault said, Wayne Cooper, man, it's like, Wayne Cooper was fire, man.
Yeah.
Wayne Cooper, man. I have told people, like, they'll be like, oh yeah, man, Philip Bailey. I'd be like, listen, go listen to Why Have I Lost You and get back to me. You know?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, yeah, like Wayne Cooper. Oh man, I didn't have the pleasure of seeing a brother live, you know, outside of say the videos.
Right.
I'm sure he probably did his thing live, man, and I know he had passed away from cancer like before 84 or by 84 or something. And I remember seeing that in like a Right On magazine. So but man, he boy, like whatever he was on like that day in the studio.
Yeah, you know, and I wonder if that kind of led to some of the, paring down of the band members?
Oh, what led to the paring down of say the band?
Well, let's see. You said 84. No, never mind. No, I was gonna say never mind. So that was 84. Not which is way past Cameosis.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure. Like, why? I guess besides money in that case, then, or egos, or
man, you know what? I can only go by what I remember reading. And it was in like a Black Beat, I think it was back in the day. I think Larry Blackman was saying something like just the I guess the day-to-day of being responsible for like nine people, or like having that, like, hey, look, so we got to go on the road, look, like, cause like, like they got to eat too, what I'm saying? They got to eat, and all those things. And so, it could have been a money thing, like, hey, like, it's easier to kind of, divide this money up and stretch it out with five. As compared to 9, you know what I'm saying? Some guys may not have felt that their contribution was, so we're being fairly compensated. I really don't know. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing too, man. Like, I've over the years heard some things, because I like other people have wondered, well, why don't they have an unsung? Why don't, like, why aren't these people kind of, like, why aren't, like, why didn't Cameo have one? Or, like, why don't they have a documentary and all these things? And I really don't know, you know what I'm saying? I make it only go by what I've heard like people say. The only thing I can say is, if they watch this, is like, hey, gentlemen, hey, you have people out there that, man, would love to hear your story.
Yeah.
And you guys aren't getting any younger. And if it's not told, then if it's not documented, then, people won't ever go back to it and say, remember, you know what I'm saying? And say, the same thing. Cause I mean, and, that could be, for like whatever reason that may be. I'm just saying, gentlemen, hey, we want to hear your story.
Yes.
Maybe y'all could work it out, say amongst yourselves, or come to some type of, hey, for the Cameo legacy, like, we need to tell this, before it gets too late, because like with what's the group I'm trying to think? Oh man. Okay, like for instance, I guess like the Commodores, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If their member passed away. So I mean, like, there'll never be a whole unit, you know what I mean? In terms of telling that story, or man, them coming back, you know what I'm saying, like together. And so I just think that with Cameo, and even though Wayne Cooper has passed away, I mean, gentlemen, hey, say, I can't speak on what the differences are. I really don't know, but I just hope that, say, like, time waits for no man. It would be great if you could document your story so we could hear it. I mean, so, that kind of separates, in my opinion, that's how it looks, like when, say, you look at like Earth, Wind and Fire, you know what I'm saying? They have a documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, not every member is kind of given, well, no, in that thing, Shining Star, I mean, they are talking to the core members, not the horn section, but they're talking to, their core group. And so I know they have that, and people can go back to that, and people can look that up on YouTube, and people can watch that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I know who I was thinking of, like Brothers Johnson. Okay, Lewis is in here. You know what I'm saying? So, like, like, we'll never get like a Brothers Johnson story, because what we could get at this point would be all of what George says.
And then how much archival footage can you have of Lewis? You know, that's
Yeah.
consistent to where, you know, what he's talking about,
Right.
you know, feels like he's saying it now.
Yeah. And plus, man, with Cameo, guys, if you're out there, I mean, man, you know, they have a huge fan base, you know what I'm saying? And there are people who, man, would love to see them get their just desserts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there are people who say would love to kind of go back down like memory lane and be like, oh, I remember when this album dropped. I remember, you know, my first slow dance was a sparkle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, like I remember, like, you know, man, shake your pants and, you know, it being a dance. You know what I'm saying? Like all these things. You know what I'm saying? And so, because like, you know, what's that adage? Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like we just kind of asked for that because we would love to celebrate them, man. So, you know, like I mean, because you know, when you, I mean, kind of get down to it, they are one of the best funk bands ever.
Yeah, yeah. I did that episode. In fact, I had them at number 2.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, say, you know, like some people may, you know, say this, that, whatever, and it depends on the, you know, the age of the person that's kind of doing it. But you know, they are, you know, when one of the funk bands ever, they have had some of the best musicians. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you know, like Aaron Mills is no slouch.
Oh no.
you know, in that joint. Man, say, you know, Anthony Lockett, Greg Johnson, you know what I'm saying? I mean, all them dudes are dope, man. And so you know, like people need to know their names. You know what I'm saying? And people need to celebrate them and celebrate them like outside of, you know, like celebrate their body of work, like outside of just you know, like word up.
Exactly.
You know,
and you know, when I look at, you know, a number of things, you know, I look at other YouTube shows or YouTube channels, and you know, when you see people talk about rock, and I mean not just the Beatles, everybody talks about the Beatles, everybody talks about the Stones, but you know, I see them talk about bands that were, you know, just kind of underneath them and still keeping that name and everything out there. You know, just the other day, you know, I started looking through YouTube, you know, just to see. Now cool, when you type in Cameo, you see all the videos and stuff, and you know, whatever, you know, live footage you could find on there, and that's cool. But I don't see a show or anything out there that's celebrating what they're doing. You know, just like I said, there's a whole sea of, you know, rock, you know, and I mean, well deserved, don't get me wrong, but like I say, you know, the musicians in Cameo are just as good as, you know, say the Stones, you know, or off the time better, you know.
Man, so, you know, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, so like you say, to preserve that history or to keep that name out there, because if, you know, not only just fans of the group can have a place to come and, you know, watch us relive memories and, you know, kind of live vicariously through us, also younger generations can tune into a show like this and go, oh, Cameo, yeah, I remember my, you know, grandfather used to they listen to them, let me go check them out. Because you know, the young kids were the ones that brought back vinyl when they started finding their parents or grandparents Led Zeppelin albums. Like, well, what's this vinyl thing? Oh, you play it? Oh, this music is good, you know. Oh, they're actually playing instruments. Wow.
Well, man, so you know, it's unfortunately like R&B, funk, and gospel music are, you know, probably the two forms of music that I know of. The legacy isn't that preserved. What I mean by that is, like, you brought up like rock music. If a young kid was playing like guitar now, like starting out, you know, his parent or somebody, uncle, older brother, cousin, or somebody would say, hey, yeah, you man should really check out like Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
Or like you should check out Pete Townsend, or you should check out Steve Perry, or you should check out, you know what I'm saying?
There's a whole list, right?
Yeah, it's like a list. Or like if you play drums, yeah, you check out John Bonham, you should check out Alex Van Halen, you should check out, you know what I'm saying, like these people, and they have it for every instrument.
Right.
In R&B and gospel funk, you know what I'm saying, there is no like, you know, yeah, check this person out. It's like that for jazz. Like if you know, you're playing saxophone, you check out John Coltrane, these people. Playing trumpet, check out Miles Davis, you know, Freddie Hubbard, these people. You're playing drums, these people. But like for R&B, funk, and like gospel, there is no, you know, list of, oh yeah, you're playing drums. Yeah, man, check out Freddie Wyatt to Earth, Wind and Fire. Or man, check out like Larry Blackman. Or check out Steve Ferrone, you know what I'm saying? Or like check out, you know, like Jelly Bean Johnson, or, you know, like there is no list. What happens is that, you know, they kind of, it's like you get it and they're kind of left to their own, say, devices of, well, like, let me just learn to play what I like, you know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, like my peers are speaking to these people.
Right.
Like, you know, like for the young brother, like picking up guitar, like, you know, man, no one, I mean, see, you know, like he's not being told, yeah, man, check out Al McKay.
Exactly.
You know, like, I guess he's not being told, yeah, man, I'm like, check out like Anthony Lockett, like I know with Cameo. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe if, you know, like maybe that happens if they are under a person that's like that into music and they can say, here, check this out. You know what I'm saying? Or yeah, like go listen. I know to this. But initially, they're just kind of left to, well, I just want to learn to play, you know, like what I like. And I can only imagine if, like, you know, back in '84, we had a YouTube and we could go on there and see like a Prince and the Revolution like rehearsal. Man, like when I saw that. Like when I bought that bootleg and got that, I just remember thinking, man, if I would have had this, like, you know what I'm saying? Or like if you would have got a DVD or like, you know, like go on YouTube and you could have seen a time show in '84, you know, from '82, or, you know what I'm saying? Or like a Cameo show or something then at that age, you know, like what would that have done for you? It would have been the work, you know what I'm saying? It would have meant like everything. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't have that. So, but again, I'll say, you know, that's just that legacy. And so, and, you know, that's why it's important because even, I mean, you know, like that's why I'm pleading to the members of Cameo. I know they kind of, you know, got some things going on.
You know.
but, you know, even with the Prince community, things aren't perfect, but people have been like accessible with, you know, like doing interviews, telling, you know, man, telling their stories, some even sharing videos, some sharing, you know what I'm saying? Like sharing things. And so, you know, like that community has, you know, I mean, a time show from '83, you know what I'm saying? You know, like it has, you know, like audio from '84, you know what I'm saying? It has these things. And so, you know, like say what people want to say about, well, like, even like Prince wouldn't like they should do it. Yeah, probably not. But guess what? You have it, you know, and so you can look at that and be like, wow, great. I can take this, and for the young kids coming up playing, you know, playing like instruments, you can point to certain things and say, yeah, like check this cat out.
Right.
And so I just said at the Cameo, just man to say, you know, at some point, I mean, you know, I guess to kind of help their legacy and give them their just, I know, desserts, you know, fans are going to need more than just their album catalog to say, hey, you know, like check this out, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, like we're a visual man type society now, you know what I'm saying? And so, and then again, man, like, you know, there are people who are just fans, you know, from the first album up to the last one.
You know? Still whatever they dropping. Like they got a single out now, don't they? Or it's been out for a year.
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah.
But man, say, you know, you know, I'd love to hear. So, what made you write like "Why Have I Lost You"? I mean, it's kind of obvious, you know what I'm saying? But just or just I mean, say like background stories, like man. So, what made y'all come up with that intro for Cameosis? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Oh, let's see. The last single was El Paso. That's 2019.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And the last album was 2018. Fresh
Yeah.
Takes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming just looking at the track list, they re-recorded their hits.
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Hey man, say, I mean, again, man, you know, it would just be cool because like when you look at like Earth, Wind and Fire, like Maurice did an autobiography, Philip did an autobiography, Larry Dunn is like accessible, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, I really think people would love to hear from the members of Cameo, I mean, about and say, I mean, and like I get it if there's some legal reasons why they can't, but I just hope that they can kind of like work that out for say the betterment of like everybody like moving forward because I think they would get overwhelming love
Oh
if
yeah.
they were to make that happen, man. And so like and I know it's some behind the scenes like business type deals and things, man. But in this day and time, like I mean, like there are people who would help do the documentary in terms of filming, interviewing those type things, man. So, people who say would love to like talk to them and kind of hear about it and say, man, like those, I mean, again, man, like those guys, they man deserve to man be celebrated. Each and every one of them. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm saying, we we being the public, say, like these albums are such a big part of our life, you know what I'm saying, whether it's child memories or say adult memories, man. And so man, these songs mean stuff to people. Say, like takes them back to a certain place. It helps them, like say, remember, and so you know, I don't think we just don't want to look up, man, one day and be like, wow, man, let them do okay, never got their just due or never got their just like recognition type deal. And so, man, in this album, I mean, in say particular, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those that's, I mean, it's just to me, man. I mean, so it's just my favorite by them. Like, I know some people will argue, say, nah, man, so, film is better or style is better. Or, like, Sparkle was, what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure some Cameo heads that, I mean, man, probably screaming blasphemy right now. Oh, man, look, okay, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Get night to the sound table. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And all I can say it is, you should have been on the show. But
hey, you're welcome to come on the show.
Yeah, I mean, hey, and that's the whole point, man. Like, hey, look, like, hey, look, maybe the guys in the band will see people talking about them, be like, you know what, maybe we need to go clear to you. Okay, set the record straight.
I was gonna say, actually, shout out to Charlie Singleton because he got word. Yeah, he got word of the Style episode.
Okay.
And he gave out a thank you. And,
did he?
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Man. Cool, man.
So Charlie, you get wind of this, you're welcome to come on the
show. He said was one of the I know when I first got into music, man, and I started out playing guitar and say, just to say like representation matters. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that was when he had left Cameo. He had started his solo career. And I remember his videos being on BET.
Okay.
I remember he said was one of the cats that I was, okay, Charlie Singleton. Like he was probably the first names I memorized from Cameo. It's like, he used to be with Cameo. Okay. Yeah, man. Charlie Singleton, man. I forget the name of that video that he had. but it was cool because he was doing all the instruments and stuff, man. But that's cool, man, that he kind of spoke on style.
Yeah.
Well, you know, reached out to you, man, and gave a, you know, man, congrats.
Yeah.
I know Tommy Jenkins used to have like a little radio show or podcast or something. I think at one point.
Radio.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know what station, but yeah, it was, radio.
Okay. Yeah, because I used to catch it. I think it was on Facebook or something. I think I
okay.
caught me an episode.
Because I think wasn't Jesse was a guest on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this episode I caught was say the one Jesse I know was on. See, so let me ask you, man, because your knowledge of Cameo is way more like in depth, I know, than mine.
I was gonna say your knowledge.
Well, I mean, especially their albums. You've done, you know, like album episodes. So, and I'm sure you went back and replayed them as you were getting ready for each episode. Where or how do you rank this one? I mean, you know, like make it like, I guess, because I know you're a Prince fan, and so that's how we kind of got our man connection. Like, you know, like what would be the equivalent, or, you know, you could use like Michael Jackson stuff. Like, of course, you know, like most people would, you know, sales wise, of course, Thriller is up there, but most people say like, The Wall is a way better record.
Right.
You know, so like, where do you rank this in terms of like Cameo albums? And you don't have to go, I'd say from what Cardiac Arrest maybe up to because Alligator Woman, then like She's Strange, right?
Let's see. Style is in between.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So okay, well, all right, well, I tell you what, just I mean, rank them from when they were 9 members only. Not because I know like that's kind of like unfair. You know?
Okay. Yeah. So let's see. As far as personal ranking, yeah. I'd say, you know, Cameosis is you know, it's like a peak.
Okay.
It's a peak. Like I said, because I didn't have, because I think let's see, I Just Want to Be, that's the same album as Sparkle.
Right. I think so. Man,
it may be, but like I said, that at that point, like I said, the only thing I knew was Sparkle.
Okay.
At that time. And then you kind of get into, you know, Feel Me, Nights of the Sound Table. And like I said, especially when people were bringing Cameosis to me more and more. And, you know, like I was saying in the episode before, you know, as a kid, of course, you know, Hudson's Embassy was one of the best independently owned record stores in St. Louis. Not to me the best.
Gotcha.
But, you know, before I was going to Hudson's Embassy, like I said, I would go to, you know, with my grandmother downtown, you know, and then big department store, you know, they had the record section,
right?
Department store. And the funny thing about those locations were, you know, you go in looking for one album, like, you know, say if I'm looking for Cameosis, you would never find it, even though that was the current album.
Okay.
It's like every time you go, it's like, wait, okay, Nights of the Sound Table. Okay, yeah, I'm sure that's a cool album, but no.
That ain't what I'm looking for. That ain't what I'm looking for. And okay, to answer your question, yeah, I Just Want to Be was on the album with Sparkle.
Okay, right. So yeah, I really didn't hear I Just Want to Be until long after.
Okay.
Long after.
You remember that tune,
yeah. But to me, yeah, Cameosis is definitely a peak of that era. Outside of that, you know, it's interesting because I think Cameosis to me is like their last, I want to say, pure R&B funk album.
Okay.
It's their last one because
strong statement there now.
Huh?
No,
Like I say, they didn't lose the funk, but you know, the directions they started taking, like we were talking about Alligator Woman, it's
okay.
like it was so different. And I mean, you know, granted, we were just now starting to kind of get used to Prince, because it's like, okay, here's Dirty Mind, here's Controversy. And I know my memories of that time was, you know, Prince was sort of just like, you just had to put him in a category by himself.
Right.
At that point, you know, because even though you had the time and that was their first album, you know, that was still pretty much heavy, you know, R&B, funk, had a little new wave, you know, with one track, but you know, it still kind of fit with, you know, or in competition with what, say, Cameo or Lakeside or Rick James or what anybody was doing at that time.
Gotcha.
With that. So when you have the track Alligator Woman, it's like they kind of push their own envelope with that. So they kind of started to set themselves up.
Gotcha. Okay.
And kind of created a whole, you know, or I would say the Cameo sound evolved with that. So
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was going to say with the transition from the horns, that is, you know, definitely traditional R&B funk. But then as you get into the 80s, those horns across the board were being replaced by the keyboards and the drum machines.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I know you said people, I know like growing up for you, like people were raving about the Cameosis album. Did they ever rave about the following ones after that as much?
Yeah, Alligator Woman, yeah.
Okay.
I think, it, like I said, it was different, but it worked. You know, it for me, it took a minute to grow on me. Because like I said, I think initially when that was all I heard was like, what are they doing?
Okay.
But like I said, once I heard Be Yourself, like I said, that elevated it. So going back to listening to the song Alligator Woman, then it's like, okay, they doing their own thing. Okay, I can respect that. I like that.
Okay, now let me ask you this, just because I looked up in the discography. Cameosis came out, I guess that April, spring, and then by that fall, the Feel Me album came out. You know what I'm saying? And so, of course, you know, Feel Me being, I know, the big ballad on that. Like, do you remember, like, was it like, oh yeah, new Cameo was out? Or was it just kind of like, you know, I mean, because that is, I mean, you know, like 2 in the same year, that's relatively close. Like that's on some Madhouse 816 type thing where they come out. So, you know, and so, and, you know, I know, shout out to Bob James on Facebook. He thinks Feel Me is a better album than Cameosis. I tend to think Cameosis, I'm going to go on I'm going to down a hill saying I know that Cameosis is way stronger. And I put the tracks side by side and matched them up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you on that one. To me, it edges it out.
Yeah, like Feel Me is a tight song, though. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Feel Me is a bad ballad, Jack. The horn line and everything.
Yeah, again, that kind of a staple of a few high school dances.
Yeah. That is a bad ballad, but in terms of track, like I don't think Throwdown can keep up with Cameosis track wise. Because I think that was an opener on, say, the Feel Me album, Throwdown. That doesn't match up to
oh yeah, then there's Knights of the South. Man, okay.
Yeah, okay. Keep It Hot is on the Feel Me album too, but I don't think I can keep Shake Your Hands. So
let's see, Keep It Hot or Shake Your Pants. Okay, song by song.
See?
Let's see.
See, Bob, you should have been on here, Bob. So you should have been on here. I'm calling you out. You should have been on.
Okay.
Scott, y'all should have been on.
All right. Okay. So, Keep It Hot is what keeps the Feel Me album in competition.
Okay.
Okay, because
okay.
I like Keep It Hot just a little bit more than Shake Your Pants.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But yeah, other than that, yeah, the rest of the album, oh yeah, Cameosis hands down.
Okay. Okay. And I asked her, we were talking earlier, like say, you know, man, a lot of these, I had to go back and then like listen to, because in real time, I was just, you know, I just didn't catch them. I was just young, you know, and then like once I got into my music thing, you know, man, like a lot of stuff, this was one of the ones I say revisited. And you know, even as I was experiencing, I know for sure, you know, like the She Strange, Single Life and Word Up era in real time, there was always this part of me, even as I got older, like, man, they were really like on fire with the 9-unit, you know, because it's just something my brothers working as a band, being in collective, and everybody going for, I know, for the same goal, that just kind of fires off. And so I'm saying, you know, I had to go back and maybe, you know, like maybe I'm biased because of Summer 80 and just what that album means to me. And just what it always takes me back to Summer 80. You know what I'm saying? I can remember the mall here in Richmond, like where my uncle went and got it from my cousin from. You know what I'm saying? I just remember hearing it say, you know, just constantly, man. And that was just one of the ones where, like, you know, I had to have in my collection of band CDs, man, for Cameo. So like I had to have that one. I have since gotten a couple of say the others, but I had to have that one. Man, for sure. And that's the one that said, you know, I say would recommend to people, like say, you know, like if they say, hey, where should I start? Say with Cameo. I mean, you know, I'm not that schooled on them that much, and I will admit that. But I say, man, look, for me, it's this one. You know, man, for somebody else, it could be the, you know, like Secret Omen album. It could be, you know, She Strange. And so I know some people, like I know my friend Scott Chambers. Yeah, I mean, you supposed to be here. He probably would say, nah, man, the Ugly Ego is like the one, you know what I'm saying? Or you know, like, he actually put me on to the, like, We All Know, like who We Are album, because it's serious on it. And I remember when he found it on CD, I was visiting with him, and I was like, man, what was a hit on this? You know what I'm saying? But It's Serious was on it. And I was like, wow, that is a dope instrumental. You know what I'm saying? So
we all know who we are album.
Yeah. So, you know, I think Lance, Lance from Low Key kind of he may put me on to, like, I don't know, Is This the Way? You know, Knights of the Sound Table. I thought that was just a cool title. And man, so, you know, like part of the thing too, man, say with them is you know, man, a lot of these aren't available on CD.
Exactly. You know, and
I don't know if they're streaming now, but I know they weren't available on CD. So that was a big thing. Like, you know, I know for me, because I still buy hard copy stuff. Yes, I'm
right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's like a big, like, ooh, like no box set, no, you know what I'm saying? So no, man, deluxe like reissues. And I know a lot of that is probably with, man, the Chocolate City. I know litigation type things and all that, man. But
right, because that's that stuff is tied up with all the Casablanca stuff, right?
Yeah. And so I know that hurts too. So that's why, guys, look, y'all gotta, man, look, documentary, man, y'all gotta come say something. You know, just, hey, man, look, film separately.
Yeah.
Hey, right. Separately. You know what I'm saying? You know, but yeah, like this album, man, is and then again, say, you know, I'd have to go back and, man, say re-listen to some of the other stuff, man. But and say, like, I know they're on YouTube, fans have uploaded them,
right,
man, to YouTube. But this one is, like you said, because you made a statement like this is when they were kind of, I know their last raw funk type thing, or, you know, like R&B.
Well, I was gonna say, well, let's see, with Feel Me and Knights of the Sound Table, So yeah, after those two, and you get to Alligator Woman. So yeah, looking at it chronologically, I don't know why I thought Feel Me was first, but I think it was just that confusion of going to look for Cameosis, and then you would see the Feel Me album and Nights of the Sound Table. It's like,
it's like, hey, wait a minute, I'm looking for this, man, out there. Okay, well, let me ask you, like, I mean, so maybe you know, or maybe maybe some people leave comments. Do you think they got like formulatic after like Cameosis? Because I mean, I know I Just Want to Be was huge. I know was Shake Your Pants bigger than that? Because Shake Your Pants is huge in movies today. Like that joint is, that joint is huge. So I mean, it was used, man, and Two Can Play That Game and then some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I know it's always kind of, like you'll hear it on like some commercial or something, like, oh, they playing Shake Your Pants, but do you think, I mean, and I don't know, like maybe they didn't, or maybe they did, but do you think, or like in hindsight, do you think when you said that they took a change, like, was it a formulatic approach that you think they were like, oh, like we, did like so well with this on Cameosis, let's just continue it with, I guess the others, and then they got the Alligator Woman. It was like, okay, now let's do something different because they changed members type deal. What I mean?
Yeah, I never looked at that as a formula, and I don't think anybody I knew thought that they were getting stale or anything like that. Because like I said, Shake Your Pants, that was a big talk. When it came to talking about what was the funkiest at that moment.
Yeah.
Again, same people coming to me like, oh man, have you heard Freaky Dancing? Man,
yeah,
they did, it's kind of like more like, man, they did it again,
Okay. Yeah.
And like I say, but I think Alligator Woman, if you're looking at, 82, and just how much the landscape had changed between 80 and 82. You had, of course, the new wave and the punk that was kind of coming in. But again,
Fire got rid of their horns.
Let's Groove,
yeah.
With Let's Groove, and of course, here comes Prince, climbing up the climbing up the ladder, because in 1980 that was Dirty Mind.
Mike was being dominant too, like MJ was
yeah, but his with Off the Wall, and I would say even Triumph after that, with the Jacksons. I mean, it was still status quo. They still had, I think, using the Earth, Wind and Fire horns, I think. Or no, Jerry Hay.
Yeah.
Jerry Hay horns.
Yeah.
On, both of those albums.
Yeah. Horns, I think, were still prevalent. I think up until, I know whenever Earth, Wind and Fire came out with the Electric Universe is when it kind of was like, all right, it was a big statement when they didn't use horns. And I remember, I can't remember if it was Philip's autobiography or like Maurice's, but they had gone to like no, I think Larry Dunn said it. I think Philip and Maurice had gone to like a Lionel Richie show or something. And he was having the keyboards like do the horns. And so when they came back and told, I know Larry Dunn, that he was like, why would we do that? They was like, yeah, we went to the show and Lionel Richie was doing this or whatever. And he was just like, I don't think that's gonna work. And then, sure enough, I know for them, I mean, it wasn't say received well. And so, but that was the case with all of R&B, where like, it kind of became like, hey, you really don't need a drummer. This drum machine.
Right.
You don't need to have all these people. You can downscale this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that was pushed on, like R&B music, not, like rock music, where, but then again, like a rock band might be at best 6 people, 5 people.
Right.
Yeah.
With them, but you still had the punk and the new wave, and especially new wave that was just using like the synthesizers.
Yeah. Oh, but it was very heavy now. It was It was very heavy.
Very heavy.
So.
But then you still had, Van Halen and all the hair metal bands, they were still using, real, acoustic drums. They were still playing, the lead guitars and basses.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But with R&B and funk, though, again, I don't want to say it was probably Prince's total influence, but I think he was beginning to have such success, especially I think really starting with Controversy with the Lynn Drum Machine.
Yeah.
That I think whether it was the industry as a whole or maybe some other bands looking at that like, oh, we need to go in this direction now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but again, man, a testament to Cameo, because during that time, and I can say this, I mean, during the early BET days, they had videos, so they were staying kind of prevalent, I know, amongst young people. Whereas like Earth, Wind and Fire, say again, that was like your parents or your older uncle,
right? Because it was
thing. And so with the like Alligator Woman sounds, or like with the Flirt, saying, style, like those sounds were appealing to the younger ear,
right?
And so like they were able to kind of navigate that, and then as they got into She's Strange and all those things, but they like even up to like Word Up, like they always had something that kind of still like resonated with young people. Especially video wise, because they always kept, like that was becoming, I know, the new medium,
right?
So people could like relate to that and see that, and it was like, oh yeah, because I remember, I just remember like say when Word Up was blowing up and people like were digging it, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one. But I think around my age group, I just remember being like, man, they were like way better with Cameos. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm sure some of my peers were probably, what is he talking about? You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure amongst guys like your age and older, who kind of knew them from when, they probably were like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like we missed the, the 9-member type thing, but just a testament, man, to them. That's one thing that I know I can say is that, but because of who they were appealing to at that time, they navigated that just as videos would say becoming a medium, meaning like just as videos were kind of like taking off, they were, they downsized. And so, their sound changed, but it changed in a way that it was appealing to what was kind of going on around, like those changes. And so they were still able to like build on what they had already built upon, and then sustain them and some more. But yeah, man, so I wish and I don't know what the Casablanca thing is, man, but it is really because I got the Feel Me thing, album on CD, and that was an import.
Okay.
And I was thinking like, ooh. And and then you open it and it's written in Japanese, and it's like, well, I got it. So
it sounds good.
Yeah. And so that's it just would be cool to get the other stuff and not have to go to YouTube and listen to it. And say what have you. But definitely, man, yeah, like this album ranks, I know for me, it's just endeared to me, man. Like I just love it from like the first song to like the last song. I can play it like all the way through, and each time I kind of play it, I find something new to like get into, because initially it was the Cameosis and Shake Your Pants and then like, Why Have I Lost You? And then over time I began to appreciate like, we're going out tonight. And I always liked that from, like I said before, but as I got older, I was like, oh, I can hear, what I'm saying, like this, what I'm saying? And then with, like I care for you, like an On the One, what I'm saying? Just little things. You're like, oh yeah, I'm saying, these little nuances, man. So, and just like, I know whenever I would listen to their other albums, I just never got moved as much by them as I did this one. And like this one just made a very impressionable like impact on me, like in 1980, and it just stayed with me, until like the mid like 2000s. Like I think when I bought it on CD, and like I just always just was like, yeah, like this is my one right here. So I don't know if they could do a deluxe edition of it, but it would be great.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we see a lot of artists get, if it's not a box set, something reissued or remastered. I would say probably, well, actually, I don't even think they're in print anymore, but I was lucky to get them, really lucky to get them, because like at a decent price. But Heat Wave, like their catalog. Yeah.
See, I mean, again, man, they had an unsung, and you can watch that and kind of, what I'm saying, like get into them. But yeah, man, that's cool, man. You got that.
Yeah. Well, it was just the first two. Yeah. So this is Too Hot to Handle.
Okay.
But it's remastered, and it's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like about 8 bonus tracks.
Oh wow! Hey, yeah, that's a bonus. 8 bonus tracks.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's a couple that's unreleased, I think, or they might have been B-sides.
Oh, okay.
But then you got like the single versions of Boogie Nights and Ain't No Half Stepping Always from Forever. But then you also have the 12-inch mix.
Oh, okay.
Boogie Nights on this, and then Central Heating.
Yep.
This too. And yeah, this has like the 12-inch singles to
now, is that, I know that first one, is that the original album cover?
I think if I read it correctly, it's the original British album cover.
Because I think the American album cover was like an album on the street melting or something like that. I think it was.
Yeah. In fact, let me see. Yeah.
Yes, that. Yeah. I say that to say because that was one of those albums in my childhood. It looked like it was in everybody's household. Every time I went to a friend's house, somebody had that joint. And then I just remember thinking like, man, it must be really hot in this picture. It was like, yo, I mean, man, I was like second, third grade. I was just like, wow,
let's see. Big shout out to my best friend from grade school, Anthony Pickens. And this is back in 5th grade. And I don't know, I was like, back then I was like listening to really, like I said, the only thing that, as far as records that I would actually own, besides like little 45s that somebody would give me, but the Jackson 5.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then like on the radio, I would listen to a lot of Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, and basically just anything else that was on the radio. But he was the one that was, I say, if anybody was instrumental in my path to the funk.
Oh, okay.
He was the one that's like, man, he's like, oh man, you need to listen to 2 things. 2 was Heat Wave and Boogie Nights.
Okay.
And Pinocchio Theory.
Okay. Yes, he showed you the way.
Yes, I'm forever grateful.
Oh man.
Okay. Like, yeah, you need to listen to that. Like, okay.
Oh man.
We got the 45s, but yeah.
That's what's up. Well, man, look, to the guys at Cameo, hey, listen, we need to do a campaign, man, and help y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what can we do?
Man, yeah, man. because like we need to get this stuff,
remastered, CD
something.
and vinyl.
Yeah, something, man, some type of something, man, deluxe edition liner notes or something.
Something,
like explaining songs, you know what I'm saying? Like memory recaps.
Yeah.
Studio session photos, you know what I'm saying? Live show photos.
If you got some live stuff in the vault.
Yeah, like all that.
Give us a little something for record store day or something.
Yeah. Man, listen, man. Look, the fans want to know, Jack. I mean,
the
fans want to know.
Yes. Like I said, and more so since doing that last episode, this one, it's like, well, why, how do we lose touch with it? I know I brought that question up episode before. When do we start losing touch? Was it, the Machismo album? Was it the Real Men Wear Black?
Hey man, that's a good question, dude. I really can't answer that.
Was it, I know 83 was very pivotal because then I was knee deep into the whole, Prince and the time. That's when that music just started to just dominate.
Man, I think well, I will say this because I know my man Scott Chambers is a diehard Cameo head. I think, like they're, like diehard, like Stevie Wonder fans, okay, diehard Prince fans, there were those who just bought them as they came out. I think as, man, with anything, there was a point where they were they were able to capitalize on some of the video rush in terms of taking off. And then when they got to like, post like Word Up type thing, and music was changing, like New Jack Swing was kind of becoming
right.
Hip hop was kind of becoming a thing. And even at that point, like, like some of the diehards, like, like Prince and Mike were just at that point to where they were like, listen, fans will go follow, buy, say what have you. I think Cameo might have failed to some ageism in some of that.
I was about to say, was it the industry?
Yeah,
not promoting them or not.
I think just from a visual standpoint, like, you kind of see cats and they're a little, you could tell that they're a little older than what you're used to, because you're seeing, in R&B and some of, like hip hop, 18 to, maybe 25,
right.
And these cats were every bit of 35 and older,
right?
Not 35 and older, they're probably older. So there was that thing of like, like how can I relate to this thing? Because even when they came out with like Machismo and some of that, I can't remember. Oh yeah, Skin I'm In was a video, and I remember digging that. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I remember people my age and older, your group, kind of digging that, or at least paying attention to it because it was Cameo. But at that point, like you're looking at what, 88, 89, like, things were like, NWA was a thing,
right?
The Kennedy was a thing. So it was kind of hard. And then I think, man, unfortunately, there's a group of people who only remember Larry Blackmon for just the card piece.
Yeah.
And there's some of us who remember, nah, man, he's like a dope drummer.
Right.
And so I think that kind of became a thing because, like, with visuals, how that goes. Like, man, 1 minute the Beat It jacket is popular. 2 years later, Jokers is like, and it'll be like Purple Raincoats. And, man, some years later, and it's just one of those things where I think it was like, you know, part of like the shock value at first was like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? And then after a while, it just was like, say, you know, just one of those things where people was kind of like, all right, you know, and I mean, again, I know he wore it for a while, and so, you know, it probably got a great response at live shows, and fans may have wanted to see him like in that, but I think just for, you know, like my age group and younger going down, like, you know, it was just kind of, you know, it was other things that were more visually appealing and more like relatable,
Right.
At that time, like wearing like Raiders jackets and Raiders gear and things was, you know, was man a thing, and girls were like I'll be sure, and you know, like Kwame and all that type stuff.
Right.
So, but I'll say, you know, I I I hate that, say, you know, when people, if me you mention, say, his name, um if you were to say, hey, give me top 5 like R&B drummers or funk drummers or somebody, like, say, you know, like people wouldn't automatically like think of him. He's more thought of with the cod, you know, another little cod piece thing. And say, you know, when he was just, you know, like you know, fantastic drummer.
Right.
And that's like after the fact, like when you tell people like, nah, man, look, he really could get nice with them things, you know what I'm saying? And then they're like, oh, for real, you know what I'm saying? But the first thought is, oh, he was the dude, you know, like who wore the little red thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I mean, man, I get it. Like Mike had the glove, Prince had the you know, like the purple jacket. That was, you know, like his thing. And so, you know, that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, everybody had George Clinton, you know, everybody had a gimmick or an image.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah,
I think, you know,
people could latch on to, yeah.
Right. And, you know, with somebody like Michael Jackson, yeah, you know, there's the glove, you know, there's the beater jacket, or there's the white socks, whatever, you know, whatever Mike was wearing at whatever era.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of drew you in, but it's like, you know, the minute he opens his mouth to sing, the minute he does a dance move, you know, then it all comes together, you know.
Yeah.
Bricks, it's like, yeah, again, there's the image, and yeah, he's a phenomenal musician. Sometimes the image gets in the way of paying attention to how really great he is, you know, and it's like you have to play catch up a lot of times, you know, like Jimmy Jam say, it may take you 10, 15 years later to figure out how much of a genius album a certain album was.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, well, on that album cover, you know, Prince was wearing this, you know, whatever, see through this, or, you know, ruffled this, or his hair was doing whatever it was doing. And you kind of like so busy fixated on that, like, you know, whether you had a positive or negative reaction to it, that it's like, you know, either it was like, oh yeah, that album's great. Or if you didn't get an immediate reaction, like, damn, this is the best album ever. 15 years later, you're like, damn, this is the best album ever.
I missed this. Yeah. I mean, man, you know, I think also too, man, with Cameo, the thing that hurt, and so you talked about it, you know, going into the music store, man, looking for Cameosis and not being able to find it, and find this other stuff. I think the accessibility of their past material, contributed to people kind of like falling off with them. Like, so to say, because I mean, it says something when you're like, you know, it's 1992 and you're riding in your car at night, you know, quiet storm, and somebody plays Do Me, and you're like, yeah, what Prince album is that? Someone says, yeah, you know, you're like, you know, 16, so like that's after your time, and someone says, yeah, you know, okay, that's on Controversy, and you can go to, you know, like Tower the next day and it's there, you know, whereas you hear Why Have I Lost You, you're like, oh, this is a dope tune, like where can I find it? And they say, yeah, it's Cameo, and you go look in the record store and all you see is Word Up, I know Machismo, and then the stuff after that. And you're like, it's not on here. You know what I'm saying? Or okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or let's see. Pull this up here. Yeah, if you go to like say the best of Cameo, except for Sparkle, it's like that's the only, that's the only slow song on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just Sparkle. Let's see, go to the best of,
yeah.
Oh, well, let's see. If you go to the 20th Century Masters, you get Sparkle, and you do get Why Have I Lost You?
Okay.
But that's it. Everything else is, it leads off with Word Up, second track, Single Life, third track, Candy, fourth track, She's Strange, fifth track, Attack Me With Your Love, sixth track, Back and Forth.
So nothing.
And then it goes back to the,
so,
and it doesn't even represent all of the like late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, because I think the oldest tune on that is I Just Want to Be.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
So I mean, if you, and so, I'm not, been a big proponent of greatest hits packages, because sometimes the better songs are like the ones that aren't singles. But
right.
Like you think about, like on that particular, because I have that CD actually. If that's not the best representation of what the group was.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so had I not been exposed to Cameosis early and I only had that, I would think that that's all that
they were.
You know what I'm saying? And so like, that's, and even with, like whether you're hearing the ballads on the Quiet Storm at Night, or like you hear like Shake Your Pants and like the day or something, like when Wednesday you go try to find it and then you can't, or like you said, like you're just vibing one night, or and someone plays an Alligator Woman, you're like, oh snap, you know what I'm saying? You think, or they play what's my joint, Feel Me, you hear Feel Me, you're like, oh snap, or like Keep It Hot or something, and like Keep It Hot is on that I know that 20th Century Masters, and right. Feel Me isn't, you know what I'm saying? And so like you'd be like, wow, like how did I miss that song? Or if like like you hear Nights by Nights somewhere, you're like, man, who is that? Right. It's Cameo, and they'd be like, you mean the three dudes in the video with the candy falling? You'd be like, yeah. They'd be like, oh. They'd be like, nah, man, that ain't them. Yeah. But again, so there's something to, and this isn't like recently that this stuff hasn't been available. It's been years. And, I mean, especially when say the industry went from vinyl to strictly CD, because not everything got put on CD.
Right.
And so I think whereas that helped, like, I mean, like prime example, and I hope the guys, if they see this, don't get mad, because I'm not comparing, but like with Earth, Wind, and Fire, when they went back and they redid the Columbia stuff, put it in a nice little pack, you know what I'm saying, like remastered it, and you got stuff, you know what I'm saying? That did a lot for people who wanted to get back into them, or like new people who wanted to discover them, because it was available. Like when Columbia did the Miles Davis stuff, and like if you remember, they went era by era. It would be a huge box set at first. It'd be like, the second quintet years, and
another big box set.
Yep. And then they came out like, separately, and then like so on and so forth. Like Bitches Brew, huge box set, you can get it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think them not having that, and that may, and that may be out of their control. I mean, again, so I don't,
like who owns,
that's why I asked, hey, look, if there's something that we can do, to help the cause, I let the fans know, and we can do the little campaign for you, hashtag free Cameo or something. But like that.
That's right. You heard it here. Hashtag free Cameo.
I mean, that that really has kind of denied some people, and it hurt them in terms of, you know, the fans who still want their stuff, and then some new fans that that man they could have gotten, because I mean, see, you know, as much as people like remake ballads and stuff, you know, man, and do those things, because I remember when D'Angelo's group Twice like remade Sparkle. I remember, oh man, it's a great thing. I was like, yeah, that's like an old Cameo song. It was like, what? Yeah, you know, and you know, thank God no one is trying to remake man, why have I lost you? Not done you justice. You know what I'm saying? But you know, just, you know, man, just those things, man. Like, you know, like, even because I think we were talking about this earlier with the newbie Prince fans, they can go back as far, you know, like, I mean, like the For You and get everything.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm sure, like, you know, man, with every generation, there are new people who are been discovering. And unfortunately, I know for Cameo, it's like a thing of where they can only, I know, discover on YouTube. And that's by word of mouth for somebody saying, yeah, like this band was fire. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, like my uncle told me about these dudes, or I mean, say, you know, something like that or whatever. Or like, you know, like your kids, you know, like you playing it around the house, like when they're growing up, and then as they become adults, like, oh yeah.
Like I remember
like,
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I say, it's nice when you can go on YouTube. And like I say, I'm looking on now. Let's see. Oh, somebody's got a video of We're Going Out Tonight.
Okay, yeah, see?
Yeah. And over 500,000 views. So I mean, you know, it's, again, it's good this stuff is out there. But you know, it's like, yeah, after a lot of this stuff was put up 13 years ago, 9 years ago. So yeah, you would think, yeah, by this time, yeah, of course they would get, you know, 424,000 views for Feel Me, you know, Rigor Mortis, you know, 271,000 views, you know, and that's cool. But let's see, but this isn't the official Cameo channel.
Oh, is there an official Cameo?
Yeah, now, well, okay, well, the official Cameo channel, you've got, yeah, Back and Forth, yeah, 6.4 million views, and that was posted 13 years ago. Yeah. So I mean, you know, people are checking it out, but you know, and hopefully this money, you know, and I'm sure they're monetized by this point with that many views for just that one video.
Yeah.
You know, that money's going into their pocket, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, man, see, you know, it's kind of like I know, because you're a bass player. It's kind of like and this is a true story. I remember I was heavy into my Minneapolis sound thing, and I remember my dad like one day was like, because I had been hearing like, you know, Prince was being compared to Sly and the Family Stone, all that type of thing. And I remember he put me on to that. And then we had moved, and so instead of Mr. Moving, he came across some old albums that he had. He had all the Graham Central Station albums.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like, you know, the dude that used to play Say with Sly, and check him out. And I was like, who that? He was like Larry Graham. And I was like, man, the 1 in a million, dude. You know, and and you know, up until that point, that's all I knew of him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know,
nothing about Hair, the Jam, like none of that. Now, of course, when I played the Graham Central Station albums, it opened up a whole new thing for me. And so I say that to say, man, with Cameo, I dig Back and Forth. I did Word Up. I did Candy. I did, you know, like those tunes. But there's so much more, you know what I'm saying? And there's a generation of people, or fans perhaps, that's all they know. And it's new fans that when they come to you, like they're gonna, you know, that's what they're gonna get. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna think like, oh, like this is all that this group is until they hear Cameosis. They'll be like, nah, that ain't them. Like, that is them.
It's the same guy.
It's the same dudes. It's them.
Yeah. And I guess, we'll kind of wrap it up here and say, like I said, they need to be on remastered vinyl. They need to be on remastered CD. And like I said, it's great that the videos are there for people to go check out, and I'm glad they're getting all the views and everything. But, again, there's a level of musicianship, that's beyond the videos.
Most definitely.
The last episode, just what Larry Graham was doing with the Simmons drums that I don't think anybody else was able to do, whether they were just a funk musician or a jazz musician.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about when he was doing the thing? Yeah.
With the Style album, I think because that was the first time he was using the Simmons on that.
Oh, okay.
I think, or at least he was doing it in a way. I don't know. I want to say Morris Day might have been second with Colors of Success.
Oh, wow.
With that, I have to go back and listen to it, but I know he was playing Simmons drums on that, but I don't know. And as great as Morris Day is as a drummer, I don't know if he, with Colors of Success, if he was beating Larry Graham on Simmons.
Yeah. When you said Graham,
I mean, oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, Larry Blackman.
Don't get mad, Larry. Don't get mad. Hey, man, so again, man, a good points. You bring up there's a narrative that only they can share that goes from like Cardiac Arrest, Nights of the Sound Table to like when Charlie Singleton and all those guys came in,
right?
With the musicianship and all of that, and so again, if they don't share that narrative, I know to a certain point when people will be left to make something up or piece stuff together, and or just not bother to say it all, and that would be the biggest tragedy. Is that man, their story isn't told accurately. Right. Oh yeah. And before we go, man, shout out to Ricky Vincent. He is a man. Yeah. He did the he did the funk book, man. Matter of fact, what did he give this rating into the back for Cameosis? Because I remember that was
let's see.
That was very pivotal into kind of putting me on to some Cameo stuff. And I remember
I know. Yeah, my goal is to still own every album.
Okay. Yeah, man.
I haven't even scratched the surface yet.
Okay, yeah, man. Ricky Vincent did a great write-up.
Yeah.
Of this book, man. He did a great write-up of that book.
So Cameo got 4 stars.
Okay.
Well, Knights of the Sound Table 4.
Okay.
He gave Alligator Woman 5.
What? Oh man.
Let's see. What is his his comments? Let's see. Underrated stroke of new wave funk genius.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll give it that.
Okay, so what did Cameosis write-up say?
Complete package
of
band.
Yeah. I told you, like I know whatever.
The complete package of band renewing itself and redefining funk.
Okay, man, that's interesting because I wonder if I guess we have to ask somebody then, or like if they can speak on it, or maybe guys, if you can comment and share, like was there something after Secret Omen that kind of like they had to like recharge, or like maybe it didn't get the review they wanted, or it was cool. I mean, so because like was this a Love Gun period? No. Okay. What was the album with Garden of Love, for Rick James, the street songs. It was like, what I'm saying? It was like where he was like, oh yeah, I need to bounce back or recharge, what I'm saying, type deal. Like, was this that moment for them or something? So
yeah, it might have been. And then let's see, if you're looking at, that's 1980.
I mean,
like I said, that's it's kind of coming off of the hangover of disco.
I mean, Mike was blowing up 10 million. 10 million sold then was huge. That was the biggest R&B selling record ever at that point.
Right. I mean, that, people forget that single-handedly saved the record industry.
Oh, okay.
Off the wall. Yeah, people think Thriller did, but no, it was off the wall because, again, you had that backlash of disco.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. It was that, and then, music in general just wasn't selling the numbers that it had been. So that was kind of,
and I could be wrong. Did Earth, Wind and Fire's album come out? Like I Am? I know, was that 78, 79-ish?
Yeah, 77, 78.
Okay. Because I
and
knew,
then
no. Not Like I Am. I'm talking what's the one with In the Stone and all that on it? Like what year?
That was 80.
Oh, okay. So that was around 10.
Let me talk.
Yeah.
No, that was 80.
No. Like, okay, In the Stone. Okay. I mean, After the Love Is Gone, all that, like that album.
That's 79.
Okay, so that's roughly around,
yeah, because that,
after. So I mean, yeah. So like, I'm trying to see, because I know like Cameosis came out in that first quarter of 1980.
Right.
So it's like, what was in 79? Because Chic, I think, was it like La Freak and all that was 70?
That was 78.
80s? Okay, 78-ish.
Okay. Right. And then
Good
Times.
Yeah, Good Times was okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
they had some stuff.
Yeah. And like I said, you still had like I said, Glory All the Stupid, 79.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, just wonder like what made like Ricky Vincent write, like a revitalization type of thing. What was it that needs to be revitalized?
Because it's different. I can kind of hear some elements, not of Parliament, but of Funkadelic in a lot of Cameo stuff. Even there's a couple of like album tracks on Alligator Woman. Was that, I think that Soul Army, that's kind of very Funkadelic.
Okay. I heard that they used to get that was I guess a knock or like a criticism that they got, compared to I think P-Funk a lot. Maybe it's because they were on the same label like Chocolate City and all that type of stuff.
Right.
That said they got that. And I don't really try to, put a whole lot into comparisons. I think sometimes people might have just been lazy, and thinking like, hey, look, they got horns, yeah, they're the same, you know what I'm saying? Or
right,
like same label type deal. But yeah, man, shout out, man, to Ricky Vincent. Great book. I hate that it's not in print anymore, but hey, Ricky,
I know that's why I'm holding on to this copy.
Yeah, man, that was, and it's cool how he has chapters for everybody, but then in the back he has like the little reviews of each album and to kind of tell you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is spot on. A lot of it, you can probably say, oh no, that album was better than no, that album needed 10 stars.
Yeah.
He only gave it 3.
yeah. So see, Cameos has got 4. I'm good with that. Like he gave an Alligator Woman 5. Okay, so I'm good with that. I can kind of live with that.
Yeah, I can. And the fact that he called it new wave funk, because Alligator Woman is definitely next level.
Okay.
On that. Yeah. Unless it was Prince, nobody else was doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Except maybe Jermaine Jackson with Let Me Tickle Your Fancy with Devo. But other than that, nobody was going in that direction.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I can get, okay.
Cool.
All right.
So we can end on that note, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Great album. Hey man, thanks for having me, man. Have me back for another one.
Anytime. I've been slowly getting back, into the groove. Like I said, being sick last month, well, April now, I lost like 3 weeks of productivity. But now I'm playing catch up. I'm close to getting one project finished, so I can finally get that out.
Okay.
Take a step back before I start the next one.
Gotcha.
Still working on 2 comics, so I'm trying to get that done.
Oh yeah. Hey man, good to stay busy. I know. What's the next Cameo album so you doing?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
I haven't decided yet.
And I thought you were going in order. I thought you were going in chronological order or something. I was like, oh
no. We start because the idea to do style, me and PC Munoz, what did we I think it was what episode? It was either the Moore's Day episode or the Originals episode. And kind of like pre-show, we just got on the subject of that album. And was like, hey, we need to do a show.
Gotcha. Okay.
On that. And then, you came up with Cameosis. I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, man, well, thanks, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, anytime. Anytime. Well, whatever. We can do that or anybody's album.
Hey, man, look, you let me know, brother.
It's now Amari Music Talk. I mean, we still do the print stuff.
Okay.
But,
Man, say whatever. Hey, man, look, you hit me up. And then let me know, man. Look,
I bet.
I'm glad to support, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. Yep. And so where can we find you? Got any projects coming up or playing any place?
So like, I know this new endeavor with doing music for TV and film. So
okay.
Like sync licensing and all that. So I'm kind of getting some stuff straight with that. Still learning some stuff with that.
Okay.
Some stuff that I could be, I think you got my IG, Footprints.
Yes.
Band, what I'm saying? Cubase 4, or no, like Footprints Cubase 4.
Okay.
It's on like IG. And then so you got my Twitter thing. But yeah, like that's what I'm doing now. Like you still writing scripts for comics. I got some stuff I gotta do now. Just like I was kind of waiting because I was well, not really waiting, but just kind of, just looking around and seeing what's out comic wise, man, the Milestone people came back. Thank you.
Yes.
And I've been getting those, man. So the Miles Morales thing comes out tomorrow. So like, I definitely want to check that out.
Okay.
And like, I'm sure like you, like as say, like say you don't want to be repetitive in the stories you tell, like for your characters that's similar to somebody else. So it's always good to kind of see what's out there, like what's being done. And then like, like what new things are being told for characters of color. You know what I'm saying? Like what exactly they opening and things. And so cause say, you could see something in like Milestone that they're doing or new, like new areas where, where they're going and be like, oh, that's a lane, you know what I'm saying? And I can kind of, like do that, plus it's good to support those guys and things like that. But, that's it, man. So, like that's what I'm doing. So, man, getting back into this thing, cause, I had a few health issues, I know the last year or so. So I'm bouncing back from that, but
that's what I say. Looking strong, brother.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, man. Hey, look, I'm trying to. Hey, look. Hey, man. Hey, look. When life hits you, like you got to take it laying down, man. You can't hit back.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So like man. Sometimes, man, say the best way, man, to fight back is, man, take care of yourself.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I say. Take it.
So definitely that, man. And thanks for having me here, man. It was great, man, talking about this. I know when I saw you doing it, I was like, oh man, yeah, we should do Cameosis. You were like, bet. I was like, yeah, that's great. You know what I'm saying? So very cool, man. Very cool. Yeah. And hopefully, man, the guys and from Cameo who were on this album, if they still around.
Yeah. So if you are on this album cover, leave a comment.
Hey, look, shout out, man. Man, first of all, thank you guys. I know for the music.
Thanks for all
thank you for the music, man. And hey, man, like if you guys are ever available, leave a comment. I'm sure Richard, man, like if you want to chat, you know, man, hit him up. Because people would love to hear from you. You know what I'm saying? Like people would love to hear.
And we'll talk about, the music. We don't have to, of course, everything has its ups and downs. There might be some drama involved, but at the core,
your story
is the music. Exactly.
Hey, look, tell your story, and I'm sure Rich would love giving you, man, a platform to tell your story, man, and so be heard, because people want to hear it, man. They believe it.
Yes.
I'm saying, I don't think people don't want to, man, celebrate you, man. Say appreciate you guys. People want to hear it, man. And hey, Rich, man, looking kudos, I know, man, to you, because you could have done any album or group, man, celebration. And I'm glad that you, man, had taken the time out to dig into Cameo, man, and share with some people.
Oh, yeah. Thank you,
man. Some stuff, that they may have missed, that, man, they may have heard about, or stuff they didn't know, or even just take some people back down memory lane. Like, oh yeah, I do remember.
Oh yeah.
My first slow dance to Sparkle. You know what I'm saying? Or my first kiss, you know what I'm saying? Anything, man. Say, or my first heartbreak, man. I know why I have out there, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, crying many tears, listening. You know what I'm saying? Like getting through the rough times. Like, man.
So why did she do that?
Yeah, boy, like look, you don't know breakup until like that song would not mean nothing to you until you experience breakup, Jack. Like,
that's to stop you in your track song.
Yeah. I know what he say, and I know what Wayne Cooper say. He said, "You did me wrong." He said, "That joint real high. You did me wrong." Yeah. Oh man. Time to start that joint off. He said, "Today I'm just a lonely man, but tomorrow I'll be a king." Oh man, hey man, listen. I know some dudes out there. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all have been there, Jack. You have been there. You have been there, Jack.
Say, not only have I been president, I've also been a member.
Hey man, but let me tell you something. It's like I said to start off, man, one of the best breakup songs. That joint is one of the best consoling. If you ever need a song to console you after
that's the one.
Break up, Jack. You need to just put that on repeat. And it will be all right eventually.
It'll be all right after that.
Yeah, just keep that joint on repeat, Jack. Oh man.
It'll say one day you will get to this.
Yes. But you gotta
get to happily ever after.
Yeah, man. Hey, boy, yeah. But wait a minute, I'm still lonely. He said, I know any man could dream. Oh, man.
Oh, man, they don't write them like that.
No, they don't. No, they don't. That's kudos and a Larry Blackman. For writing that joint, man. You need to come on, man, and send us a write-up, or come on, tell us a story about that, man.
Yeah.
Both versions.
Both versions.
Versions, exactly, man. Cool, man. Man, thanks again, man, for having me.
Oh, anytime, man.
Cool.
We'll do this again for sure.
Okay, cool.
All right. All right, and that's going to wrap it all up. Thanks once again to Mr. Ricky Wyatt for coming on to the show. And again, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, become a supporter. Let's keep these episodes coming. And until next time, create your day, create your life. Peace.
All right.
All right.